Pablo Picasso, The Story of My Life. On October 25, 1881, Pablo Ruiz Picasso was born on the Mediterranean coast of Malaga, Spain. My mother was Maria Picasso y Lopez and my father was Jose Rios Blasco. My father was a very good art teacher, so eventually I became obsessed with drawing. In 1892, my family moved to La Corona, a year after I was accepted into a School of Fine and Applied Arts. At age 13, I began painting my first oil painting and selling them on a smaller scale. In 1895, my sister Conchita died of diphtheria, which became a tragic moment in my life. After her death, the family moved to Barcelona and I transferred to Madrid's Royal Academy of San Fernando. At Barcelona, I met my best friend Carlos Casagemas. At age 19, I moved to Paris with Casagemas, the epicenter of art. But soon, a tragedy would happen. Casagemas has committed suicide. After that, I went back to Paris to paint haunting portraits in memory of my best friend. In 1904, with the emotional buildup from my sister and my best friend's death, I began painting in blue. This period was known as the Blue Period. I felt like blue expressed how depressed I felt at the time. These somber paintings like the Death of Casagemas, La Celestina, the Old Guitars, the Blue Room, and many more reflected my experience with the poverty, prostitutes, and the blind. I spent a few difficult years with no fixed studio and little artistic success. But today, my Blue Period paintings are most popular because I was known as the person that gave blue its color. Many moons went by as I started to become happier. At age 24, I fell in love with Fernand Olivier. My relationship with Fernand began a rose period of which I began changing my styles to more cheerful orange and pink colors in contrast to the cool somber tones of the blue period. I frequently use circus performers in my artwork. Some examples include Family of Acrobats with Monkey and Boy with a Pipe. My rose period style began to leave a life of its own in the artistic spirit of the time. It wasn't the subject and its content that mattered the most, but the painting itself. It was the end of my development in which I found my style as a figurative painter. Remember when I said I loved Ferdinand Olivier? Well, I was wrong. After that relationship, to the end of my lifetime, I had dated or married 8 different women. People called me Playboy Picasso, but I was a huge supporter of feminism. I donated money and pieces of art to the women organizations during the mid-1950s. Corresponding information reveals that I also supported Women's International Zionist Movement, a group that dedicated their lives to the evolution of women's rights. My pieces of art went up for auction or to support the organization in one way or another. I have contributed to the art forms Classicism, Surrealism, and Cubism, but today I will be only talking about Cubism. Cubism was one of the most influential visual art styles of the early 20th century. It was created by George Braque and I in Paris between 1907 and 1914. We used geometric shapes and left behind very little knowledge of the real world. We also used different shapes like squares and cylinders to depict a natural object. And then this was made. In 1907 to 1909, I, as well as other painters, started using African sculptures as their inspiration. The flatness, vivid color palette, and fragmented cubist shape helped to define early modernism. One of my most controversial paintings was Les Demoiselles d'Avignon. Long story short, I got inspired by Iberian sculptures. Many citizens became upset with this painting of mine because it was a radical break from traditional composition and perspective in painting. I used distortion of a female's body in geometric forms in an innovative way, which offered a different representation. This painting took me 9 months to sketch out. It was one of my largest projects. In the end, it demonstrated the true ability of my passion. More examples of my Cubism paintings included Weeping Woman, Guitar Player, and Aficionado. But one of my most famous work, Guernica, is the most powerful political statement. It was painted as an immediate reaction to the Nazis' casual bombing practice on the Basque town of Guernica during the Spanish Civil War. Guernica showed the tragedies of the war and the pain inflicted on the innocent. This painting has gained monumental status of becoming an anti-war symbol and a need for peace. The bull stood for my eagle and represents the onslaught of fascism. The horse represented the people of Guernica. In 1944, after the liberation of Paris, I joined the Communist Party and became an active participant of the peace movement. In 1949, the Paris World Peace Conference adopted a dove created by me as the official symbol of the various peace movements. The USSR even awarded me the International Land and Peace Prize twice. I was such a huge supporter of the world peace, so I gave one of my 2 children the name Paloma, meaning dove in Spanish. From there on, devoting my full energy for my work, I had created over 180 paintings. On April 8, 1973, I died from a heart attack at age 91. Only later after my death was when the rest of the art world had moved on from abstract expressionism and came to discover that I already was ahead of my time period. My representation today. My creations have influenced today's fashion and art. For example, I wore this striped shirt a lot. I wanted to make a simple shirt a fashion statement. Today, many men and women are seen wearing striped clothing. My artwork has been seen anywhere. Have you noticed? In some hotels, I have my artwork on basically anything imaginable. Buildings, cars, and even decorations have been influenced by Cubism. A quick review. My performance has left a mark on the world. My Cubism movement was my biggest achievement because I inspired many artists to think out of the box. By being a feminist, I supported women's rights and gave them attention for all their hard work. My 3 main pieces of art, Guernica, Les Demoiselles d'Avignon, and Dove of Peace, projected the importance of peace. Without a doubt, the modern world would not be like it is today without me, Pablo Picasso.